If you like weird, spooky, and strange history, then I have the podcast for you. My name is Brenda, and I'm the host of Horrifying History. Are you into the dark side of history? Horrifying History tells you about the side of history that people don't normally talk about. We tell the tales of haunted places, infamous true crimes, the paranormal, and unsolved mysteries, and then we look to history to see where the truth actually lies. Want to get spooky with us? Get your Horrifying History fix by subscribing today on Spotify, Spreaker, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
Hello.
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 Welcome to another episode of All Hallows Eve podcast. I am Jason.
I'm Kathy.
And I am Reagan.
And this week we are covering free alcohol for all.
No. Alcohol free for all.
Oh, okay. Alcohol free for all. I'm sorry. And yes.
We ain't giving out liquor to everybody.
And yes, we are joined this week by our daughter, Reagan.
Hi.
So she will be covering our news.
She's going to help.
Yeah, she's going to help
This
cover
week was,
our news.
I think it was a little hard for her, but she's going to help.
Yep. So we're going to dip her toes into it a little bit more and see where it leads. So was there anything exciting that happened this week with you?
Yeah, we had a little bit of excitement the other night.
Oh, yeah. We got caught up in those wicked little storms that that rolled through.
Yeah.
So.
Bo is now very much traumatized.
Yep.
And is asking to look at the radar.
Consistently.
Yes.
Every day. It's like, dude, look out the window. Can't you see the sky? I still want to see the radar.
Yeah,
Dad.
he has to see the radar. He wants to see if there's anything coming.
Yep. So, and of course, I was out there while the sirens were going off, looking up at the sky, and they're all, get in the basement.
Yeah, you came in. The siren had gone off. We came up. We were downstairs. We came upstairs. The siren went off again. You came in. Everybody downstairs now.
Well, yeah, it's my family.
So we all.
I don't care if anything happens to me.
Marched down the stairs.
Yep. So. But
Poor
yeah,
Bo was so scared. He was shivering. He had on his jammies, one of my shirts, 2 blankets, sitting on my lap.
Yep. Yeah, it was a pretty wild night.
It was pretty intense.
Yep. So.
We barely got any sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I ended up sleeping in the living room.
Family
Outing,
campsite.
Yep. So, just a little recap. Thank you for everybody that voted and picked Kathy's favorite movie of all time to review. And it was annoying hiccups. It was,
I would like to thank every one of you for making me watch this movie and be done with it. I never have to watch it again. It was not as bad as I made out in my mind.
No, that it wasn't.
But I still will never. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
We want to say thank you again to Leo, Mike, and Kevin over at Films and Fermentation for coming over and helping us destroy that movie.
I laughed so hard. Thank you.
Needless to say, I left with quite the buzz. So it was a fun episode. So hopefully we can do that again sometime down the road and have some more fun with those guys. So we have some exciting stuff coming up. We have some guests coming on later on this month, and
oh gosh, we're already in April, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
my word.
Yep, and I think that one's going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah, I think so too.
Yep. It's the year of collaborations. What can we say? So, anyway, this week's news.
Yeah, aren't you and Reagan going to need to share a mic so she can see?
No, she can listen. She doesn't have to see. There's really no pictures involved.
Oh, I thought you were going to have her read it, though.
Not this one. This one's kind of, there's a lot of French words.
Oh.
So, yeah. What, Reagan? What?
I said, okay, never mind. I don't want to read that.
Okay. So, you can listen in and chime in whenever you want. So, this one, I, again, went to Ripley's.com. They got some cool shit over there. So, Joseph Pujol and the fart worth $100,000.
What? Oh my gosh, this is so up her alley.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, not gonna lie, it is.
You two are like the fart masters.
Oh,
We are.
Reagan got mom's blowhorn over there.
No.
So,
I got daddies.
Yes.
so, all right. So we will get into this, and yeah, we'll see where this one leads.
I'm scared. Do I need to go get the Lysol now?
Maybe disinfect it a little bit.
Get the peach fragrance.
So, how it all began. Now, immediate disclaimer here. My French pronunciation is absolutely abysmal, so apologies in advance. Joseph Pujol was born in Marseille, France in 1857. As a boy, he had a strange experience in the sea that would eventually lead him to become a professional farter performing for royalty.
This might be a new career for you, Reagan. Pay attention.
Right? Got a career.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
Me either, but it sounds fun.
So, after leaving school one day, he went for a swim. As he dove underwater, holding his breath, he felt the icy waters enter his rear.
What?
This is when he realized he had a paternal natural control of his abdomen muscles. He could inhale with his anus and even slurp up water.
Ew!
Then control the release with his sphincter muscles.
Your face.
So, as an adult, Pujol could eject a stream of water from his anus stretching 16 feet. He could
What's an anus?
puts a whole new term on. Please hold on to the bar. He, and this is a quote, was able to, quote, wash your walls with a bucket and a squat. A feat he apparently proved to his fellow soldiers while serving in the army, who described his ability as a veritable fart fantasia.
This is not real. You are making this up.
I swear to
Look at
God.
his iPad, Mommy.
Pujol eventually became a baker and delighted customers with his controlled flatulence. It's during this time he honed his musical skills, imitating orchestras and telling customers there was a full band behind his bread counter. I swear to God.
First of all, I don't think I want to go to that bakery.
Right?
That's just nasty. As your daughter's over here farting.
Mm-hmm. Of course. What? All right. So eventually Pujol decided to take his artistry to the stage. At first, audiences weren't sure what to think. Historian Alison Moore writes in The Spectacular Anus of Joseph Pujol, the very hilarity of a man making money with his ass was both the strength of his act, but also very possibly what held him back. Pujol himself didn't naturally have the appearance of a star, and when booking gigs was said to burst into managers' offices, declare he could control the elasticity of his anus at will, and then before anything else could be said, bent over and started flatulating musically until they gave him the job.
Musically?
Musically. I wish they had a recorder back then, so it had a little bit of... Well, this thing here... Guys, some of that's... Oh, my God. Like, seriously.
Okay,
One day it was like
okay,
a whistle. I'm like, who's whistling?
Oh, yeah. When we came...
No. No.
I want to
No.
tell sounded like a.
Like, we're sitting there, I'm like, it goes, I'm like, what the fuck was that?
I
All right, okay, on with the story. Audiences would eventually find his antics to be a gas. By 1892, Pujol High Society became so enamored with the fartomaniac that he performed at the Moulin Rouge in Paris. His act was much more than small musical notes. No, at the Moulin Rouge, his farts became cannon fire and thunderstorms, blowing out candles from many feet away, smoke from his rear, and he even showcased his ability to play the orchania.
What's that?
Using tubes tied to his anus. I have no clue.
Wait, spell it out. Hold on.
OCARINA.
Okay. Kind of looks like a butt plug with little
Whistles on it.
little air holes.
Nice. Audiences included King Edward VII, Leopold II, and even Sigmund Freud. Several accounts say people would laugh so hard during his performances that they would pass out.
Oh, I would believe that because
Yeah.
just hearing this story is making my stomach muscles hurt.
Bet you don't have the control that he did.
I
though.
surely do not. Nope.
So Pujol turned his crass act into a life of elegance and sophistication, eventually outgrowing the Moulin Rouge and taking his own hand at show writing and production. But this is where his rogue flatulence would cost him. After performing for a friend on Hard Times, the Moulin Rouge sued Pujol for flatulating out of contract. Eventually, the matter would be settled for 3,000 francs, or the equivalent of $100,000 today. Unfortunately, this would also prove the end of Le Pétamine's career. War had reared its head in Europe, and Pujol would return home to open a biscuit factory.
wait, what?
Right. So, apparently, a Parisian medical school tried to buy the late fartomaniac's body, hoping to learn the secrets of his rectum after his death in 1945. But the family cheerlessly responded that some things in life must simply be treated with reverence. The end.
Good for them.
Right?
The family was like, "Nah, we're not sharing the secret."
No.
Oh my goodness.
Who knew farting could be a job?
Reagan, you have a career in your future.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I do. It was a funny story. Very
was.
funny.
So this is what it looks like.
It looks like a giant butt plug.
We'll have to post that up on our...
And then
If you ask for one of those for Christmas,
No, it's not happening.
maybe
If
for
you
your birthday,
in it goes different
Yeah, it'll
ways
make-
through the holes.
it'll make different noises. Oh, my goodness.
God. All right.
When you said you found weird news, that was not what I was expecting.
Yeah?
I was kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll right back into the swing of things. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done some weird news. So
Oh my goodness.
there we go.
That definitely
That definitely
hit it out of the
sounds like me.
ballpark.
Yeah. So, all right. What?
Nothing.
I mean, at least he was proud of it.
Well, I guess. I mean, I guess, like I said, Reagan has a new career.
Yep. So,
If
all
they
right.
even do it now.
All right. So, before we get into our main segment, we are going to pause for a short little break.
Hi, I'm Chris,
And I'm Deb.
and we host a pretty fun podcast called Today We Laughed and Learned. You know, this is where we discuss all the things we should have learned, but, well, never did. And we have quite a few laughs along the way.
Today we laughed and learned with Chris and Deb.
We're curious about everything, experts on nothing.
Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Ooh, I've been dying to try this place.
Oh my god, me too. I've heard such good things about it.
Welcome to the Crime Diner. I'm Cindy. I'll be cooking for you this evening. Here are your menus.
Oh, what are you thinking about getting?
I don't know, murder with a side of cannibalism? What about you?
Ooh, that sounds good. I'm torn between historical mayhem and the social injustice, maybe?
Oh.
I just want to let you know that each episode comes with dinner, dessert, and a specialty drink chosen by yours truly.
Wine Dine and Storytime has had a makeover, and we invite you to slide into the booth with us at the Crime Diner, where each week we will discuss a crime over dinner, drinks, and dessert. See you there!
Okay, so welcome back. So, yeah, how's that?
Oh my goodness, not the news I was expecting from you.
Okay, well, Reagan's off doing wonderful things with wonderful people now, so she's like, I can't get out of the house fast enough.
I hope she's not out now practicing her new
farting techniques.
Yep.
So, all right, so this week we are covering 3 brewery disasters.
Trilogy of brewery
disasters. And yeah, this is a weird one to go down. Like
this was your choice.
Yeah, I happened to run into it a couple of weeks ago and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's figure that one out. So we have 3 of them to go by, and the first one apparently is going to be mine. So,
well, if you want to do them in order,
whatever, I don't care.
Okay.
So this first one was the Great Beer Flood of 1814. The year is 1814 in the area known as St. Giles Rookery in London, England. St. Giles Rookery was a densely populated area that was it was a poverty-stricken area, and it was inhabited with criminals, crime, prostitution, it was a bad area. So at the corner of Great Russell Street and Tottenham Court Road sat Moe and Company's Horseshoe Brewery. It was famous for its porter and produced more than 100,000 barrels, and I did the math on this, or 3.6 million gallons of beer a year. So it was a pretty big distillery.
Right.
Or brewery, I shouldn't say distillery. The brewery had a 22-foot high wooden fermentation tank installed in 1810, and the tank had had massive iron rings around it that held it together, basically. There was I want to say 6 to 8 of these massive rings around it because it was made out of wood. It's like a barrel almost. And the tank, when filled to capacity, held over 3,500 barrels of beer, or 108,500 gallons of beer at one time.
How much?
How much? How many gallons?
Yeah.
108,500 gallons.
Okay.
Of beer. So at around 4:30 p.m. on October 17th, 1814, the storehouse clerk, George Crick, was doing his inspections when he saw that one of the massive 700-pound rings had slipped down the tank. Crick reported what happened to his superiors, but his superiors said that this typically happened 2 or 3 times a year, and it was really nothing to be alarmed about. So they just instructed him to basically write a letter to have it fixed, and they'll come fix it.
So he had to put up a work order.
Yeah, just like nowadays. So about an hour later, around 5:30 p.m., a massive explosion occurred in the storeroom. The tank had broke and released the fermenting ale with such a force that the tank exploded into splinters. When that happened, it also caused the back wall of the brewery to collapse. This wall was 25 feet high, and it was 2.5 bricks thick. And
Dang.
It just exploded that wall out.
Dang.
The explosion was so massive that the bricks were falling on top of houses 2 blocks away.
Dang!
So this explosion set off a massive chain of events. It broke the valves off of other tanks and also completely breaking other tanks, which added more liquid to the incident.
Yep.
So around 320,000 gallons of beer rushed out of the building and into the streets. Picture that. Like, holy shit. Because of the narrow streets and the lack of drainage back then, because there was no such thing as sewers, apparently, a 15-foot tall tsunami of beer rushed down the streets. 15 fucking feet tall. It destroyed everything in its path. All right. It completely destroyed 2 houses and seriously damaged another 2. In one of the houses that was destroyed, a 4-year-old girl named Hannah Bamfield was having tea with her mom and another girl when the tsunami hit their house. And unfortunately, it swept her mother and friend into the street, and it killed Hannah instantly.
Dang! That got
Right.
sad real fast.
Right? Oh, we'll get more into it here. In the other house that was destroyed, a wake was actually being held for a 2-year-old who died the previous day.
Oh my goodness!
Anne Seville, the boy's mother, and 4 others that were at the wake ended up dying because the house collapsed.
Well, that's super depressing. This started out fun.
Right? So 2 others ended up dying during this tragedy. Eleanor Cooper, a 14-year-old, died when the wall of the brewery collapsed on top of her.
Why was she in the brewery?
She was behind it doing clothing.
Oh.
Washing clothing.
All right.
And when it exploded, it fell on top of her and crushed her.
Gotcha.
And Sarah Bates, a 3-year-old, was found dead in another house. Most of the tragedy in this were children, unfortunately. Because of the lack of drainage, the beer flooded the cellars of homes. All right. Many of which had families living in these cellars.
Oh, dang.
The families were forced to higher ground to avoid drowning. In all, 8 people lost their lives in this tragedy.
Dang.
Stories started circulating that hundreds of people started collecting the beer afterwards, and mass drunkenness ensued. But that was actually debunked afterwards.
Oh.
Because there was a report that somebody had died of alcohol poisoning after the fact because of this beer flood. But all of that was debunked. Said nothing like that happened.
See, when I talk about mine, no. That's why I could totally believe people dying of alcohol poisoning.
Well, the reason they say that this didn't happen was because the area that this happened to was mainly Irish immigrants. And at that time, the Irish immigrants were looked down upon, and any kind of mischievousness or anything like that, they would have reported on it. But they said that everybody was pretty civil during the whole thing. And this caused hundreds of people to come and see what happened.
Absolutely.
And they said the stench of beer
I could only imagine.
Was in the air for months following.
Oh, I can believe that 100%.
So during the coroner's inquest, it was found that the 8 people who lost their lives lost them to casually, or quote unquote, casually, accidentally, and by misfortune. So they lost their lives by misfortune, basically. It was an act of God, is what they said it was.
I don't think it was that.
I don't think so either, but but because of the verdict, Moe and company did not have to pay any type of compensation to the families.
Wow.
They quickly reopened the brewery, but moved it in 1921. So they moved to a totally different building in 1921. That building was actually demolished and a theater was built in its place.
I wonder if it still reeks of beer,
No.
like a bad beer ghost.
It's like spilling beer on your carpet and you can smell it for months afterwards.
Yeah, it's like a beer ghost.
Because of this incident, though, the large wooden tanks were actually phased out and replaced with wooden-lined concrete tanks, so it wouldn't happen again.
Oh, okay. So they built like concrete walls and then put the barrel inside of it.
Yeah, like lined it with oak or whatever it is that they used
Gotcha.
to ferment it. So, yeah. Could you picture that, though? A 15-foot tall wall of beer coming at you? I'd be like, yeah, running towards it.
You would, mouth wide open.
Come to daddy.
I could see a whole herd of you running towards that wall of liquid.
It's like God sending
It sounds like a
us
Simpsons episode.
Doesn't it? Duff beer. But yeah, that was the great beer flood of 1814. So
Alrighty.
Oh, what did you find?
Well, I have the Whiskey Fire of 1875 in Dublin, Ireland. So June 18th, 1875, at Malone's Malt House, 5,000 barrels of whiskey and other spirits were being stored. Similar to yours, around 4:30, they did a walkthrough just to check on it, everything. Everything was fine.
Mhm.
Nothing going on. But around 8 p.m., the alarm was raised. A fire had broken out and was quickly spreading as the heat rose. As the heat rose, the wooden casks containing various liquor burst open, sending a burning river of liquor flowing through the streets.
Holy shit, it's like something out of the Bible.
A lot of the people were alerted to the fire by the sounds of squealing pigs.
Trying to get away from the fire.
Right, because back then there was livestock all around.
Yep.
So like the pigs were like squealing, they could sense the fire, everything that was going on. They could never figure out what started the fire.
Yeah, that's weird because you're walking through and there's nothing.
There was nothing. There was nothing of significance
It
for them
almost
to
sounds
see.
like arson or something. You know, I hate to say this, but back then the Irish were really looked down on, and I never could understand why. And for somebody to come through and throw a match wouldn't surprise me none. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest.
Or just a careless person smoking and flicking their lit cigarette or
could have been anything.
Anything. But they were saying that the caskets would like burst and then the liquid would splatter everywhere and the fire would just eat up where the liquid had
because it's straight
had
alcohol.
burst. So it's like oozing out of the windows, the doors, just everywhere.
Damn.
The Irish Times reported, it is stated that Cap's Peregrines, which was actually like a porridge bowl, I had to look it up, and other vessels were in great requisition to scoop up the liquor as it flowed from the burning premises. And disgusting as it may seem, some fellows were observed to take off their boots and use them as drinking cups.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, people, this one, I think it was this one where these two friends were out and were like, hey, let's go check out this fire. And they met up and they started drinking this alcohol flowing down the one got like pretty dang wasted.
Oh, yeah. It's whiskey.
So his friend was trying to get him home and got partway home and met up with some other friends that helped get him home. He ultimately passed away from alcohol poisoning.
Ooh.
People in various states of alcohol comatose, were taken to numerous hospitals in the area. 13 people died as a result from the fire, not from flames or smoke inhalation, but from alcohol poisoning.
It's not from the fire at all. It's
No,
getting drunk.
Yes. Well, think about it. Like you said, they didn't necessarily have drainage systems back then.
Yeah.
So people emptied their chamber pots out the window
Oh,
And now this alcohol, you didn't think about that when you were doing yours, did you?
no.
So now this liquid is flowing down the streets, which is covered in
Shit.
manure,
And, yeah. Just disgusting stuff.
people feces, and people are just willy-nilly picking it up and drinking it.
Ugh.
Was
Well,
my thought.
wouldn't the alcohol kill that, though? Like,
I don't think the
You-
alcohol, I don't think it was there long enough to kill anything.
yeah. True.
30-foot high columns of flames shooting from the roof of Malone's malt liquor place. The fire, okay, so the fire brigade showed up, but they quickly realized that they couldn't put it out with water because the alcohol would just raise above
Yeah.
the water
Yeah.
and continue to burn. So they were instructed to tear up the street and try covering up with whatever they tore up from the street.
Yeah.
So they were tearing up the streets, throwing it on top, but that wasn't enough because it was burning so hot. So then they started taking horse manure,
Ugh,
mixing it with ash, and throwing that on top of it to put the fire out.
that's shitty.
So the fire started around 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and by 4 o'clock the next morning, they were finally able to put it out.
Holy cow.
Moo. Nope, it was horses.
Holy horse manure.
Yeah.
Good God. Well, all right.
Yeah. But don't get this confused with the whiskey flood of 1906. People are wasting a lot of good whiskey, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. So disappointing.
It's just amazing when you're looking into this how many floods and accidents occurred because of alcohol. You know what I mean?
And it's not because they were doing necessarily something wrong.
No, it was
was
just
a learning experience.
the way they did things during that time. You know, I mean, look what came out of the beer flood.
Right. They came up
You
with
know,
the whole cement walls around.
Yeah, they came up with a better way of doing it, but it took.
But did they? Because
You're right. Like, did they really learn from this?
yeah, I just couldn't believe though that all these people were being taken to the hospitals. Most of them were recovered at the hospitals and were sent home basically with a severe hangover.
Yeah, yeah. Dehydration,
Yeah, they didn't have a full
understanding of
documentation of how many people were taken to the hospitals,
yeah.
but there were quite a few people who were taken.
Mm-hmm.
So then I also found the whiskey flood of 1906 in Scotland. The Loch Katrine distillery was originally Adelphi, which I guess is now Adelphi was bought out by Loch Katrine, but Adelphi is now another brand.
Okay.
It has reestablished itself like in 92, I think it was what it said. But the Loch Katrine distillery was established in 1826. It was located in Glasgow's Garbles district. Again, like yours, it was a place of decrepit tenements and just poverty everywhere around.
Yeah.
On November 21st, 1906, an accident resulted in a massive flood. One of its huge vats containing approximately 50,000 gallons of hot whiskey collapsed. The vat was located on the top floor of the distillery.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
The worst frickin' spot possible.
Right. When it burst, it took out 2 other vats containing whiskey in various stages of production. A total of 150,000 gallons of spirit swirled through the distillery down into the basement where the draff or the malt refuse was being stored.
Yeah, all the leftover.
Yeah, I had to go back and figure out what that was. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
So farm servants were outside with their horse and carts waiting in the street to collect all the draff to take back to the farms for the cattle.
Mm-hmm.
The tidal wave of now remember, this was hot liquor that burst. Mm-hmm. Even with mixing with the other liquors, it was still
Yeah, you're
extremely
still
hot.
gonna. Yeah, yep.
The tidal wave of hot liquor smashed into the farmers or the servants waiting outside. washing men and horses across the street where they struggled in waist-deep alcohol mixture.
Hot. Keep that in mind.
Yes, that's what I keep saying. Because the hot whiskey mixed with the draft that was down in the basement, it turned the consistency into more of a liquid glue.
Like a sludge, almost.
Yeah. Police quickly arrived on the scene. They rescued the 2 men that had been working in the basement first.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably got the worst of it being in the basement.
Yeah.
150,000 gallons of whiskey.
That's like being hit with a fucking brick.
Oh, one of the men actually lost a lot of his clothing from not just the hotness, but the speed of the liquid crashing down on him.
Yeah.
So he actually lost some of his clothes. The mobile liquid mass struck a bakehouse that was located behind the distillery. One man in the bakehouse was flung against the wall from the fast-flowing alcohol. Some bakery equipment was swept from one side of the kitchen to the other side, and the staircase collapsed.
Yeah.
There was 4 men working upstairs. They actually had to jump out the window because the staircase was gone. There was no other way for them to get out.
Oh, man.
Down the way, an elderly woman was seated at her kitchen table having tea
Mm-hmm.
when a massive wave of whiskey, draft, bricks, and debris swamped the kitchen. So you got to remember that time frame. They had the petticoats, they had the pantaloons, they had the skirt, they had...
Yeah, they had full regalia, like...
unnecessary amounts of clothing.
Yeah.
And here she is sitting at her table having tea, and now this sludge and debris is swarming her kitchen. The poor old lady is like trying to get out her kitchen window, but because of all the weight, she couldn't oomph herself out of the kitchen. She was eventually able to get the door open enough that she could
Weasel her
escape
way
out.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only fatality from the whiskey flood was one of the farm servants. He suffered severe internal injuries and died shortly after being admitted to the infirmary. So when he was slammed across the street into a wall,
Yeah.
other debris
Hit
hit him.
Yeah.
It could have been a horse. It could have been the carriage.
It could have been anything.
It didn't specify.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the distillery ended up closing a year later.
Yeah, because there's no way to recoup that.
Well, the other place, the Malones,
Mm-hmm.
apparently they continued to do business, from what I understood.
Yeah.
I didn't go quite into the detail that you did,
Well, I mean,
but I was like, "Holy moly! All this alcohol just going to waste."
right? I mean, the tragedy that followed these is just, it's unbelievable. But with these accidents, because that's what they really were,
Right,
were
were accidents.
came improvements, right? So it just stinks that it happened. And
Well, it really stinks that yours, there were so many younger
yeah,
fatalities, where mine were just stupid people drinking.
like they said that there were, I mean, the rumors that were flowing around, no pun intended, was like people were out there in the streets drinking this beer, but I mean, there was nothing to corroborate it, and they actually just debunked it.
Oh
Said
no,
nothing
mine flat
happened,
out said
so
that people died from.
I'm sure people were scooping them
Oh,
up.
I'm sure they were too,
Like-
because like you said, you'd be the first one out there.
I'd be out there like, hello,
You'd be
come
like,
to
"Ma,
daddy.
get every pot and pan we have. We gotta save this for later.
Oh yeah.
In the meantime, I'm going to be out here sucking up as much as I can."
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just, nature of the beast, I guess, right?
I don't know. With the whiskey flowing, I might have been out there too.
But I mean, back then, beer was a substitute for water because the water was so bad. Back then, they had no way of really filtering it or anything, so that was your main drink of choice.
No, and I think even back then, like the kids drank
Yeah.
mead, beer
Yeah.
with their dinners. So
I mean, and in some places they still do.
right.
They allow that one glass, so It just, it's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, for the
I just have
tragedies and
this-
everything, but that's a shame for the beer too. Like,
Forget the beer, the whiskey. I'm like, I have this visual of this flame going down the middle of the street
Right?
with whiskey flowing, and
like, oh,
But you know,
you got a
they-
wall of flame coming at you. That's like something out of the Bible. It's like, run. I wouldn't. I'd be no. Goodbye.
nowadays like they take the
Is that where they got Fireball from?
I don't know.
Nastiest whiskey I ever had. Anyway.
I was just like, oh, that whiskey.
It's a shame. Come to mommy.
Yeah,
Come.
it
Come to
probably
me.
would be. I'm like,
Where's
oh.
my boot?
Reagan? Get my hat.
But yeah, those were 3 unbelievable stories that we found.
And there's more out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's plenty more where that came from.
I don't know. There's plenty more, but there were other
Yeah.
instances that were out there, but I didn't know how much information we needed, so I just covered these 2.
Yeah. I mean, it just, I seen this one and I was like, oh, that's a shame. All that beer went to waste. And then I
he's
got
like,
into it and
Here,
I'm like, ooh.
here's your challenge for the week.
Yep.
Let's see if you can find any other disasters.
So, yeah, that was the,
Alcohol free for all,
for the week.
not alcohol for all.
Alcohol free for all.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, with that,
Would you like to tell people where they can find us?
maybe. I was feeling kind of left out. So, yeah, I'll do it.
Why were you feeling left out?
You can find us at www.allhallowsevepodcast.com. You can listen to all of our previous episodes there. Go to our merch page to purchase merch if you would like. We have tons of designs on our page, and we got you covered, literally from t-shirts to totes to
Coffee cups, travel mugs,
Yep.
magnets, stickers.
laptop cases, you name it. It's on there, and it's pretty reasonably priced too. So,
I think so. Absolutely.
if you would like to see any of our merchandise, you can go to the website, and we also have a fan page on there of people that have purchased our merchandise.
Yeah, go check all them
So-
people out.
What else? You can email us from there, and yeah, all kinds of fun stuff from there. So, is there anything else that you would like to cover, my dear?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Oh, you want a joke? Is that what you're waiting for?
No.
Yeah. Why was the cemetery chosen to be the perfect place to write a movie?
Why?
It had great plots. Stay spooky, my friends.